Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer number 15000-626. This is a throw latch and keeper in a satin chrome finish. Here's what it looks like. So Bommer has a line of lavatory hardware, and this would be a typical rim-mounted bolt is what it would be. Surface mounted, rim because it's mounted around the perimeter of the door on the outside edge is how I like to think of it. Very typical sort of high quality that you can expect from Bommer. That's attributed to their command over the manufacturing process, but also the fact that it's made of solid brass. When you have a architectural base material like that, you're going to see very nice finishes. This is a 626 finish, and that means three things. It means it's made of solid brass. It means that it is in a satin chrome plated finish, and it also means that it has a light coating of lacquer over it just to protect the finish a little bit. And obviously that's what it's going to look like when it's installed. You're going to see this high-end solid brass lavatory hardware in applications like high-end hotels. You'll see them in, I've seen them in the law library of a Big Ten school in the Midwest. So material that needs to not only function solidly, look extremely architecturally pleasing, but also the application doesn't call for the typical partition hardware. The dichromate, the Zamac sort of chrome-plated zinc sort of material that you'll see in a commercial restroom, like in a movie theater or an airport. The law library of a Big Ten university is probably not going to use just that material, nor would a high-end hotel, like a boutique sort of hotel. So this is the throw latch and keeper. This obviously is non-handed, has this handle here for you to be able to obviously throw that bolt. It's going to include screws. Be mindful, these screws are brass, as is the base material. Be mindful they're brass because brass is a substantially softer base material when it comes to strength. You want to make sure that you're properly pre-drilling the holes when you install them so that you don't share the screw. Getting a last-minute solid brass chrome-plated screw is probably proved to be a bit of a challenge. Let's take some basic dimensional properties and we'll switch to the screen view. The overall height of the base, 2 inch by about 1.5 inches. Overall, looks like it's about 3 5/8. The center of the bolt to the end looks like it's about 2 13/16. Height of the bolt, about 7/8. The strike portion, about 1.5 inches, just shy on that, and then 2 inch tall. Now, let's switch to the screen view. Let's take a closer look at the supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Here is the item that we are looking at. Let's take a look at the images that we have posted down below. There's the box. What's in the box? Okay. That's the retainer or keeper. Side view of the keeper. Side view of the bolt. Then your screw package. Now, this material is available in other finishes as well. Let's take a look. Well, let's look at what's listed. Then I'll tell you so we have 605 polished brass listed, 606 satin brass, 625 polished chrome, 626 satin chrome. Because this material is made of brass, they can do other finishes. You know, nickel, bronze, they can do oil rub bronze. So it's not limited to what we have listed. If you want another finish, like antique nickel, the factory is most likely going to accommodate that sort of request. So be mindful. We're not restricted to just what's listed. The chart of potential finishes that Bommer can do has several dozen finishes on it. And I've been to their plating plant. In fact, Bommer can do over 30 finishes on both steel-based material, brass-based material. I mean, I've literally been to the building where they do the plating on this material, and they have an extremely capable plating facility. And fun fact about their plating facility, the wastewater that it ejects is cleaner than the local municipal water supply. And there's nothing wrong at all with the local municipal water supply. The point is they're so proud about the fact that their plating plant is so eco-friendly that it's something that I think people are interested to know once they know it. Now, back to our item. Extended description information down here. Made of wrought brass. Wrought is a process by which the brass is brought into shape from raw material. Give us the dimensional properties, and then screws. Speaking of dimensional properties, let's click on the cut sheet. This will give you all of the dimensional properties beyond what I've provided. Okay. So you can study those at your leisure. There's also then a link to the cut sheet down below, the 1500 throw, latch, and keeper. All the same data that we've gone over. The point of the cut sheet is it will show you the other options as it pertains to bolts from Bommer for this similar application. The 15001, same concept, just going to be a little more petite in the mounting points, and then the radiused end on the bolt itself. It might be more appropriate. A slide bolt, a turn knob that has a bit more of a handicap compliant feature to it. Not a bit more, a handicap compliant feature. So other options when it comes to that. Now you have to be mindful of where you're going to be installing all of these options, because they will not all work in the same option without understanding what the strike might look like. And what I'm driving at is, this is rim mounted. Well, this style 2 here would work, but this bolt here, you've got to take into account what the strike might look like. Well, turns out the strike's going to look like this one, so it's surface mounted. The point is, with rim hardware, depending on the swing of the door, you might have a different looking strike. These would all be obviously appropriate for, well, in-swing or outswing. It could work, but you'll have to make sure that it works for your application, and that technical drawing will help determine that as well. Now, there's also a link to the product catalog, or the product brochure, for all lavatory hardware, and it does start with this page with the 15000. Occupancy indicators are possible when you get into the 15009 style, because they've got a spindle that's running through the lock. We sure have sold those occupancy indicators. Pull handles. This would be a door stop and hook. Very typical item to see. Then you're going to have your clamp style stops and strikes. So this is going to clamp over the end of your partition and will incorporate not only an inserted rubber stop, but a keeper or detainer for your turning or sliding bolt. And as you study this document, it will tell you what you will use, with each other is the bottom line. But that's where that would go. You do have to declare the thickness of your, what they call door thickness. It's really the partition thickness or your jamb thickness. And then there are other strikes that are here that incorporate stop functions as well. You also have lavatory hardware when it comes to partition mounting brackets. Solid brass material that you can use to attach your urinal screens, your partitions, everything that you would use in a commercial restroom. And then pilaster cove and shoes to go at the bottom of your bases as well. So a pretty comprehensive offering of this material, concluded by lavatory hardware hinges. This same client ordered a couple of the 1001 hinges that are here. Forgive me, as I was staring at the picture of the adjustable clamp style, I said, well, that's not what the client ordered. What the client ordered was a 1011, a full surface hinge. So a bolt, a couple of hinges. It's obvious that there is a a partition that will need to be closed and bolted closed. So really great resource that is here. Now there is a link below this video here to the manufacturer's page, and you can click on that, and when that comes up, you'll be able to review the landing page in our site for all things Bommer. You'll be able to review all of the Bommer products we sell by means of this horizontal navigation here, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Bommer is a name known for postal specialties, and there's a link to the catalog, but they discontinued all of that in, I think, early 2019. So you're certainly going to see Bommer postal specialties out there. Unfortunately, practically all inventory has dried up when it comes to Bommer postal specialties. You know, it's mailboxes, those are gone. Parts for mailboxes are gone, although sometimes the locks, especially the combination locks, we currently have available. Let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. Now, the name Bommer is actually, I think, synonymous to most people as a manufacturer of spring hinges, double-acting spring hinges. Their 3029 double-acting spring hinge is that ubiquitous hinge with the two large barrels that doors will swing in and out, and you'll most commonly see it in a hanging a door between a kitchen and a counter area in a, you know, a diner, a restaurant, a snack shop, things of that nature. That hinge has been cloned and copied countless times over the decades. That's a Bommer invention. It was in 1876 the brothers Bommer started the company, and fun fact, it is the granddaughter of one of the brothers whose husband owns Bommer, so it's a family affair after basically, well, approaching 150 years at this point. So that is an interesting tidbit about Bommer as it pertains to other companies. Not so much in terms of how long they've been in business. Many of the big names have been in business since, you know, that entire huge 19th century period from, you know, Adams and Jefferson dying in 1826, 24, I forget the year, all the way up, you know, and through the Civil War, where there was just such slow and steady incremental and then explosive growth when it came to the Industrial Revolution, which I think we're all taught in grammar school happened in the latter part of the 19th century, but that had been slow and steady. Many other companies in the door hardware industry certainly got their start much earlier than Bommer by, you know, a couple of decades, for sure. But the point being is Bommer is a company that's been around for a century and a half. And a final thing that I'll leave you with, it doesn't say it on their lavatory hardware, and Bommer will say, yeah, Bommer will say it's only because there's that 1011 hinge that this client also bought. Bommer will tell you the only reason it doesn't exist is because they can't get their stamping on it on their machinery, but their logo right above it, it says Made in USA. Everything that Bommer does, everything that they've ever done is completely thoroughly sourced and made in the United States. That may or may not mean anything to you. It does to me. That's a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as am I to represent them. Any questions on the Bommer 15000 throw latch and keeper in a satin chrome finish, or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.